Happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to another Arkansas football recruiting report. That's Otis Kirk. I'm Jacob Morris. Otis, a couple of weeks ago, we came in here all excited after the Tennessee win. Not so much today. Deflating. A 34-10 loss for Arkansas at the hands of LSU. A
Yeah,
game that felt odd. Time of possession all over the place. Just deflating, kind of uninspiring. Unfortunate to, have a game where fans, rightfully so, were heading for the exits with about 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. But there's plenty
yeah,
of recruiting to talk about because Arkansas had a full visitors list. And the first that we talk about, or the first that we start with, rather, an official visitor, an interesting case, Gavin Gardner, a tight end from California, a flip target for Arkansas, a San Diego State commit, and a guy that I know Arkansas would really like to add to the class.
yeah. His brother plays for San Diego State. He's a sophomore tight end at San Diego State. Pleasant Valley at Chico, California is 5-4. I'm sorry, they're 4-3 this season. They're 4-3. I will get my numbers. I'm not dyslexic, but I will get my numbers. But they're 4-3. He came on an official visit. He's 6'7", 240 pounds. He plays both ways for Pleasant Valley. And they played 7 games, but in 6 games, I don't have Friday night stats, but he had 9 catches for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. On defense, 30 tackles, 22 of solos, 10.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 7 quarterback hurry. So he's a capable player. And like I say, 6'7", 240. So he's a capable player on both ways. Obviously, taking an official visit, he's 2025. That's how many kids that can take official visit. But so he's someone that would be in this immediate class if he flipped to Arkansas. Arkansas has no tight ends in this class.
Yeah.
It was interesting because they told a tight end a few weeks ago, and that's what, according to the tight end's dad a few weeks ago, this dad told me that they told his son who wanted to come and had a lot of offers and ended up going elsewhere, but he wanted to come to Arkansas, but they told him they were going to take a tight end out of the portal. But then they found this kid, and I guess they decided, hey, we could take him, because he's a lot. They're both about the same size, except this one's 240 and the other one didn't weigh nearly 240. And Arkansas in a tight end offense, Jacob, they want to be a block. They're going to catch the pass. I think Luke caught 2 last night, and they're going to catch the ball. They're usually catching quite a few. But Gavin's a capable receiver, but he's someone that's 6'7", 240 in high school, capable of being a blocker. And I think that's why Arkansas likes him. So yeah, they did take him. Now, like I said, that other story was from parents, a recruit's dad. But I believe it. I believe it. But anyway, so I guess they are open to taking a high school tight end if they get the right one. And Gavin is someone they would like to have. They just offered him a week or two. I think during the bye week, when they got out and they offered him, they found him. And, and Morgan Turner has ties to California, he's in Stanford. Yeah. So he knows those tight ends out there. And I'll say this for Morgan, everybody he got out there at Stanford just about tight end, they ended up being pretty good in the NFL. And they weren't all 5 stars either. Yeah. So Gavin's a 2 or 3 star, depending on which service you look at. But I don't know how much that matters. The bottom line is the thing that they like about him, I know without a coach can't comment, but I know in reason 6'7", 240, they like that. Plus, he's athletic. I read his stats, Jacob. He's got some pretty good stats on defense, so it tells you pretty athletic. He's on film. He's not the fastest tight end in the country, but he's good. To me, to be honest with you, he looked perfect for a Bobby Petrino, Sam Pittman type offense. He's someone that can get open, can run, run well enough to get the ball and make plays and everything, and certainly big enough to pull inside and block. And then it's 6'7". He may get bigger, a lot bigger than 240.
Yeah.
When he gets here and plays in one weight program, if he comes here now. Obviously, like I said, he's got a brother at San Diego State. You always wonder how bad, if Arkansas wants this kid bad enough to they try to get his brother to transfer to San Diego State with a transfer portal. So the recruiting has changed so much in the last few years. Used to say, well, that kid's brother's in San Diego State, they probably go there. Hey, if Arkansas wants them bad enough, they might take both of them out of the portal, take one out of the portal and the other one. So I don't know. But anyway, yeah, he liked his visit to Arkansas, and we'll see how it works out. It's San Diego State close at home, brother there, but Arkansas's SEC. And that did appeal to him, by the way.
Yeah. The thing that jumps off the page, obviously, is the size. When you talk about 6'7",
exactly.
240, and you said it, he could get bigger as well. I read also brother at UC Davis, too, so you're battling kind of all of the West Coast size there as well as San Diego State.
But you're right. The size is what attracted Arkansas to him. Size and enough athleticism that they think he can make plays in this offense, which I think he can. I mean, like I said, he's not going to run you a 4-4, but then again, he's not, he doesn't need to at 6'7", 2-4, but he can block, and he's probably only going to get bigger. And, you're right. The size is what attracted them to him. And I think Arkansas has a chance of flipping him, but we'll see. I mean, time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. And obviously, tight ends have just been a bit odd this year because they are a priority in the offense. And yet, with all the injuries, it almost has felt like they've been non existent. And I'm not really sure anybody's to blame there. You saw Luke, I mean, he caught a couple passes yesterday, but even against A&M, he's obviously and understandably frustrated he's not getting the ball. But he caught one pass against A&M, but you can see him, he's limping off the field right afterwards. He's clearly dealing with something injury wise. Hopefully, Arkansas can get that cleared up and get all the tight ends more involved in the offense. But Gavin, not the only visitor last night, a whole laundry list like we were talking about. And we'll go to quarterbacks next. Grayson Wilson, Javon Gilmore, both guys that Arkansas loves, obviously, both on campus yesterday for an unfortunate game, but still in Razorback Stadium nonetheless.
And both are committed to Arkansas, and I don't think loss would affect either one of them. I will say this, their record combined is 13-0 this season. Javon 6-0 and Grayson 7-0. I tell you, Grayson, I'll start with him real quick. He's got an interesting two of his next 3 weeks are going to be really interesting. They go to Pulaski Academy this Friday. Yeah. That could be a test, man. And they finish up the regular season at Bryant and the coach's old school, and Bryant's #1 team in the state, undefeated. So that's going to be an interesting. They're 7-0 right now, but boy, they've got an interesting. They play Southwest Little Rock in between that, so they're going to win that. But those other two games, those are going to be interesting, and both of them are on the road. That's the thing. The game at Pulaski Academy is on the road, and the game at Bryant's on the road. That Bryant game really sticks out at you. I think they'll beat Pulaski Academy and Anthony Lucas's team. I think they will, but then again, that's why you play the game. It's not guaranteed they will. But I think they will. But that if they go in that last week and they're 9-0 and Bryant's 9-0, that'd probably be the game of the week in the entire state of Arkansas. I mean, not in this area, but I know in Central Arkansas, I'll probably have people going crazy down there to see that game because that's coach at Conway's old school, and Grayson's going to be a Razorback, and it's two of the best teams. That may be the two best teams in the state. I don't know, but it's two of the best. If it's not the two best, I know Greenwood would have something to say about that. Yeah. But those two in Greenwood, right now I put them up there probably the three best teams in Arkansas. But that'd be certainly two. It's fair to say that would be two of the three best teams, them and Bryant. Javon, he got suspended a couple of games. Jacob, he had a run-in with an opposing coach. He went out of bounds on play, and depends on who you talk to, what happened on the play. Seemed like the coach got suspended too. The coach got suspended. There was some contact on the sidelines. I'm going to tell you, I've had people call me about that and text me. I'm going to tell you, and I'll tell you what I told them, and I'll tell everybody. Javon's a good kid. I don't know what happened on that play, but I know if it was him and an adult, you would think the adult would be the bigger person and not initiate that. But and the school did appeal it, and it was denied so his suspension was upheld. But Javon's a good kid. I mean, we had him on this show, Jacob.
Yeah, we talked to him.
You or Evan, but you guys, we had him on here. I mean, he's called me and talked to me. He's a good kid, so I'm not worried about his character. But they're undefeated, as is Conway. So one thing you like about the quarterbacks, they're both undefeated this season, and even Kane Archer at Greenwood, they're undefeated. So you take three quarterbacks that I've talked about a lot on this show, and all three of them are undefeated this season. That matters to me, a quarterback. You might get a safety that's on a 1-7 team or something, or a defensive lineman or something. But it may not matter that much. But a quarterback, I think it does matter, Jacob. I really do. And that's why I think it's big there. Gilmore's 81 of 133 passing, 1,138 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's only ran for 109 yards and 1 touchdown on 40 carries. So he's not really, you would think at 6'6", and everything, he'd be more of a running threat, but he really does. He prefers to stay in the pocket. And that's one thing they've got designed for him is they don't really have a run-based designed offense for him. They want him to stay in the pocket as long as he can because they don't want to lose their quarterback, obviously, to injuries. Yeah, but he's but both those are the thing about Grayson and Javon, they're both winners. Kane too, they're all winners. And that's what you've got to like about quarterback. I know Bobby Petrino loves that about a kid, as all coaches love winners. So, but I do think it matters at quarterback. I know people will debate that, but I don't think there's any debate on that. We can debate it in another position, maybe basically any other position, but quarterback, I think it matters.
Yeah, I agree, especially at the high school level, right? I think when you get to college and NFL, exactly like you're saying, right? Like you have the whole R wins a QB stat discussion, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing. But at the high school level, a lot of times when you have a quarterback as good as Grayson, as good as Javon, right, you're going to see him elevate the entire team. And that's what's happening, and that's what Arkansas wants to continue to see in that regard.
Yeah, and that's where I'm talking about in high school. Yeah, once you get past that, once you get in the NFL, obviously there's lots of different. There's a lot of different wheels in motion at that point, even college. But yeah, in high school, I think it does matter. And I just think when I see a quarterback on a high school team 2-8 or something, it just bothers me because I don't. And look, there might be, and I know there's probably instances where there's a kid in some small school where he's the only athlete on the team and they do lose. I get that. I get all that. But we're talking about exceptions. But the rule is the basic rule is I like winners in high school. I really do. But at quarterback.
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb. I'm sure there's some exceptions, but to your point, I think for the large majority it makes sense. But hey, let's talk about a guy that maybe two of these guys will be throwing to. That's Antonio Jordan, a wide receiver commit for Arkansas. We talked about him in the summer from that kind of cradle of Razorback receivers down there at Warren. Another big guy and just size, again, athleticism jumps off the page with him and was also visiting for the Razorbacks last time.
He's 6'6", 230 and now. Unlike Gavin, my buddy Gavin, he can run. This kid can fly, buddy. He's not a tight end, he's a wide receiver. But I'm going to tell you, they've had Traylon Burks, Jarius Wright, and I'm going to put somebody out, Greg Charles, Chris Gregg, Brett Smith. They've had a ton of them down there at Warren. Bo's had I don't know what's in the water, but I'm sure Bo's asking them, don't chase the water, Bo Hember. But I'm going to tell you, is crazy as this sounds, Antonio Jordan's got a chance to be as good as any of those guys, including Burks. He's unreal. And the thing about him is he put out no huddle video, he wasn't interested in Notre Dame or Southern Cal or Texas or Penn State. He wanted to go to Arkansas, and he didn't care about the recruiting stars or hype. He just wanted to be a Razorback. But I'm telling you, man, this kid right there at 6'6", 230 can run like a deer. In all honesty, and I'm not saying it because he's a hog. If he decommitted tomorrow, I'll tell you the same thing. He should be a 4 or 5 star kid, Jacob. But they have nothing to base it on because they have no video. But I'm just telling you, he is that caliber of player, 4 or 5 star caliber player. He is the real deal. I don't know how he compares to the other receivers down there. I've seen them all play. I've seen all those guys play a lot of ball, high school. And I don't know if it's fair to compare him to them, but I do think he compares with any of them, including Traylon. And I'm not saying he's better than Traylon Burks, but I think he has a chance to be in that conversation. And to be in that conversation is pretty dang good company.
Yeah, that's special right there, regardless of whether you're in it. But I remember when we talked about him in the summer, right? It's not that there's a perfect way to go about any of this recruiting stuff or any of that deal. It's going to be different for every single kid. However, it is fun, just kind of the throwback way that he's going about this, right? Remember when we were talking about this, and it's just, I'm not really social media. I don't really put highlights up. He wanted to be a Razorback, and he's going to be a Razorback, and the Hogs should be pretty thankful for that.
I'll tell you somebody he reminds me of from that standpoint, just the standpoint you're talking about, the recruiting and social media, is Darren McFadden.
Yeah.
When Darren was in high school, he took that same approach at Oak Grove. I think he put out highlight stuff. But I remember Darren. First time I saw Darren, he just left the 8th grade, was going into 9th grade, and he ran a 4.34 or 4.35 in a camp. And I go over and talk to him. He's standing there. I believe it was his stepmother. It might have been his mother, but I believe it was his stepmother. He's standing over in the corner at the Walker Pavilion. He's standing over by himself. He and his mother or stepmother. They're standing there, and I go up to him and I said, "Darren, can I talk to you?" Why you want to talk to me? I'm only in the 8th. I'm going 9th grade. I said, because you just outran every dang senior out there, man. You outran every senior and every junior and every sophomore in the 40 in the camp, man. This kid wasn't little either. Darren wasn't little. And I just said, man, I saw him play his senior year. I actually saw him play 7 of his, I don't remember how many they played, but I saw him play about 7 times his senior year. And that's who it from a no look at me deal. That's who Antonio Jordan reminds me of. I know I went long-winded on Darren, but it does. I mean, and I mean that's the ultimate compliment to compare him to Darren McFadden. That way. But Darren's the best player I've ever seen in Arkansas. I've seen everybody that's ever been good play here. Go back to Mr. Boz, Jerry. I started with Jerry Eckwood and go all the way up, and Darren's the best I've ever seen. But Antonio Jordan has the same approach to recruiting that Darren had, a very similar approach anyway. And it is refreshing, to be honest with you, to see that no one look at me deal.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. They've earned the right to do that if that's how they want to approach it. But it is refreshing to see someone like Antonio Jordan take that approach. I agree with you 100%, man.
Yeah. It's not that you can do what you want to do, and there have been plenty of cases of that working. It just is, it's different, and that's all we're saying. It's kind of a refreshing kind of way to look at it. And hey, any comparison to Darren McFadden is pretty impressive. We'll see how that one turns out. But they wrap it up with an offensive lineman, 2027 guy, and a Texas native, Payton Miller, offensive lineman, another target, and an early target for Coach Mateos, like we have continued to talk about over and over again. Targeting guys early, trying to get them in early.
That's the difference in he and Cody. Cody really didn't like to offer kids that young. Eric does. Right or wrong, you can prove either method you want. But I've talked to Cody about that, and he didn't like to offer kids that young. Whereas Mateus has no issue of. But Payton Miller played at Anna. Parkview played them earlier in the year and barely beat Anna down there. But Payton, he has like 19 offers. He's 2027. He's already got like 19 offers, Jacob. I mean, it's a no-brainer to offer this kid. And he's been here a few times. He was here last night, but he's been here a few other times to Arkansas. I'm just going to read you. Penn State, Tennessee, Texas A&M, OU, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Florida State, Baylor. That's just some of his offers. That's not all.
Yeah.
No means is that all of them. And probably in the next year or two, he will probably have an offer from basically everybody who recruits Texas. He's that good. But no, I just want to mention he's 6'5", 280. Probably will be a guard in college or a center. But whatever, he's probably capable of playing. Well, he's capable of playing anywhere. But that's going to be somebody for Arkansas fans to keep an eye on for the next 2 to 3 years, because he's been here quite a few times, got a lot of offers. But I do know he loves Sam Pittman. He likes Coach Mateus, but he does love that Sam was an offensive line coach before he became a head coach. This is someone to watch, and I know that's a long ways off, 2027. But hey, when you got 19 offers, recruiting's coming to you. It's not waiting. Yeah. And if you turn on the video and watch Payton Miller's highlights, you'll see why the schools aren't waiting on him. You wait, you'll be left out, because he's basically what it's going to come down to. By the time he gets to be a junior, where he probably gets more serious with the recruiting, he'll probably have an offer to anywhere he wants to go in the country. I think he's that good. Yeah. I think he's a real man. I mean, I think he's as good as probably any offensive lineman in 2027. There's probably somebody I know there's a lot that I haven't seen video of, but I can't imagine anyone's much better than him. I think he's a stud.
Yeah, when you talk about 2027 guys or recruits way off in the future, you can talk about, man, like why is Arkansas maybe getting in before they can see what he pans out to be? But a lot of times when you go to recruiting services, whether it be Rivals or any of them, right, guys that are that far out, they might not even have a rating system yet. But you go to him and you hit it. When I looked him up and I said, just kind of looking through all his different measurables, whatever. So let me take a look at the offer list, right? And to your point, that's what just stands out when you just get there and you open it, and it's just, he might not have a rating yet because he's a 2027 guy, but when you can't afford to wait around, because it's like you said, you open that and you go, whoa, that's a class of 2027 guy with Penn State, you just go down the list and it's all of them. Ole Miss, a bunch of different offers. You got to get in early with these guys, because
you're going to be left out if you don't, Jacob. You're going to be left out if you don't get in early. And this is a kid that's a no-brainer. The rating will come.
Yeah.
I've worked for those recruiters. They have age.
Exactly.
Great. They start,
and
that's fine. The rating will come, but the offers are going to come too. And if you don't have an early one on him, you may get left by the side of the road, and you may not get him anyway. I mean, let's be honest. He's going to go where he wants to go. He's going to have an offer wherever his dream school is. That's where he's going to go.
Yeah.
But I know he likes Arkansas, and it's not been his first trip to Arkansas. He's been here before. And the Hogs love him, and for obvious reasons, everybody does. But they did get, and I like the fact they got in really early on him. And if you don't, I just think personally, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with any coach, but I think if you don't get in on a kid early like this, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
You're just left out, But I mean, you go if you're his 40th offer when he's a junior, I don't know how much weight that's going to carry.
Yeah, and I think that's the point is whenever we have recruits on the show and you do such a great job of allowing us to talk to different ones, what do they always say about the Arkansas staff? They say that they've had maintained and had a relationship with these coaches for years on years on years. So I think that's what's important to remember is if you try to hop in late on some of these recruits, right, you're trying to beat out a school or multiple schools that have had a relationship with these kids and these kids' families for years on years on years. You have to get in early, otherwise you're just going to get left behind.
Colton Yarborough told us right here on this show, and he told me when I went to Durant and interviewed him, Arkansas got on him in the 8th grade and stayed and been on him since then. And there's kids like Colton Yarborough, Payton Miller, Darren McFadden that you can offer in the 8th or 9th grade, and you don't worry about it, Jacob, because they're going to pan out. I mean, the first time I saw Darren McFadden play, the first time I ever saw him, I told you was running the 40 over here to U of A. First time I saw him playing the game, though, it took me about 2 minutes. And I knew he was going to be 8'5". He's going to be a stud. I mean, guys like that just jump off the film at you. I mean, jump off the playing field at you. You don't even need to buy a program when you go to the game. Just go. If you're looking for a kid like Darren McFadden, just go and see if you can pick him out without the game program, and you will. And that's the thing. And he's guys like that jump out at you, and that's why I'm saying, that's why Payton Miller's, the Colton Yarborough's, Darren McFadden, you offer them in the 8th grade. Traylon Burks, it's a no-brainer to do it, And like I said, if you don't, you wait till they're in the 11th grade and you're the 40th offer, unless you were their dream school to start with, you probably lost out on the kid.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to hit before we go, Otis?
No, I just thought last night, I thought that tip pass at the 5 and return to the 2. I thought that's when the error came out of Arkansas, Jake. The 3 games they've lost, they've had 3 turnovers. And the games they've had less than 3 turnovers, they've won them all. When the games they've had 3 or more 3 turnovers, they've lost every one of them. So if Arkansas plays a clean game, they can beat anyone. If they don't play a clean game and turn it over 3 times, they can lose to anybody. So they could go 4 wins to 9 wins, 4 wins to 8 losses. I mean, they could do that. I mean, if they turn the ball over, they're going to lose these games. If they quit, when they play a clean game like against Tennessee, they've got a good chance to win. But 3 or 4 turnovers and they lose every time. It's proven. It's 3 games they've lost. All of them had 3 turnovers.
Yeah, and that was there's been a lot of games like that this year. I'm sure you feel this way where you can really feel the new clock rules in terms of how the game is just really slipping by fast. And that was, I leaned over to the guy next to me, sitting there when Arkansas gets the ball back, and like people forget it. Yeah, it's 34-10, but it was 16-10, and Arkansas had the ball with 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. And I leaned over and I said to him, this game just feels so odd because Arkansas only had 5 possessions at that point, or whatever it was, 4, 5, 6 possessions. They'd only punted once. They had the fumble. They had the missed field goal. And all of a sudden, it was kind of all in front of Arkansas. And then you said it best. That pick happens, and it was just over. Right at that point, it's just mistakes and it's turnovers. But it was such an odd game, and it was unfortunate that it went that way because it comes across like Arkansas got beat up and down the field, and that was the result. They got beat by 24. But, I mean, there's 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and they're right there. And a play like that just changes it.
If you're at the 5, you're at the 10-yard line and you throw a 90-yard touchdown or run 90 yards for a touchdown, it's a completely different game. Whereas if you fumble or throw an interception, they gave A&M the ball at the 10-yard line, gave LSU the ball at the 2-yard line. That stuff like that just to play. And honestly, I think if you take, that's what's been the difference in Arkansas being 5-2, 6-1, and instead of being 4-3, has been the turnovers. 3 turnovers against Oklahoma State. Missed field goals. That's been a difference. I tell you, a team is kind of like Arkansas is Missouri in the fact that now Missouri's been winning, but they had a great field goal kicker too, and they're missing him. I watched their game yesterday, and they're missing the kid that was so good there, and it almost cost them yesterday. So it's just different. But Arkansas's waiting for Evan Noel to get here, but missed field goal didn't beat Arkansas. But it's been kind of a deal where people got used to Cam Little going out there almost automatic, and it's made it. But that's all I've got. But no, I just want to say I just felt like I've seen people say, "Oh, LSU just killed them." They didn't kill them. It was 20. It was like you said, 16-10. When you fumble or intercept at the 5-yard line and return it to the 2, but it looked like to me after that, 24-10, the error just came out of Arkansas from that point forward.
Yeah, it's
It's
hard
understandable.
to come back for something like that. Regardless, Arkansas's got to figure out a way. I mean, we can say this over and over again. They're a turnover away. They just can't make the turnover, and that's the key. They got to
No,
figure it out. And Mississippi State, a team that's hung with A&M, Georgia recently, a team that I think a lot of fans chalked up as a win, but Arkansas's got to figure something out come Saturday in Starkville. But that's all the time we have on this week's Arkansas Football Recruiting Report. That's Otis Kirk. I'm Jacob Morris. We'll talk to you next week.